Welcome back to the Hannahcast, everybody. My name is Christian, and today I'm going to be giving you my July Oscar predictions. I was just going to wait till August to do them, but I will still do an August one pretty soon. Depending on how soon kind of depends on how these movie releases are going, because before I explain, thank you so much for listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube. If you want to see more of this, hit that subscribe button, whether it's the YouTube subscribe button or subscribing to this podcast, because this gets more ears. Like this pushes the algorithm that you want to see, this podcast succeed. So I'd very much appreciate it if you subscribed to the podcast. But regardless, the reason why I'm just not sure what's happening right now, in terms of like predicting the Oscars, is because there are some like how I describe it. As we know, the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild are on strike. Because the studios just refuse to compensate them properly, where they can live off of their jobs. And not only that, but but there's stuff like involving like AI potentially taking away their jobs, like AI being used to replace writers and having actors or like double or what's the word I'm looking for, like background actors having their likeness scanned using AI and the studios can just replicate those likenesses of those people so that they don't have to use extras anymore. And not only that, that would ultimately end with those actors never getting any work ever again after that one day of paid work, and having them scanned. It's a mess. And instead of doing the smart thing, which would be, paying these agreeing to the Screen Actors Guild demands and the Writers Guild demands, studios are starting to pull their movies from their release dates. And for example, Warner Brothers is legitimately considering pushing Dune to to next year for I don't understand this. It's like the studios are literally willing to throw away money on these movie releases because the actors can't promote their movies, while they're on strike. So the studios, instead of agreeing to their deals, they're just like, we'll just push the movies off their release dates. It's the dumbest move imaginable, because we just got out of the COVID era of films. Movies are making money again. It's actually back to normal now. And the studios want to throw away all of that progress in favor of just trying to save a few extra pennies by not agreeing to the SAG and Writers Guild deals, and they're not even saving pennies. They're literally wasting money right now. They would have literally made more money. They would be making more money right now agreeing to these deals than just pushing the films off of their release dates. It's insane. So regardless of that, and God, I hope the studios aren't seriously that stupid. Where they act some films are being pushed off, but it's only a couple of smaller ones. Problemista, I think, is one of them, and Challengers. The studios would actually have to be a certain level of stupid to start pushing off release dates because they're being this petty. They would actually have to be stupid. And so before that potentially happens, I at least want to give you guys an update on my Oscar predictions across a bunch of categories. I'm not going to be talking about like documentaries or international feature or the short films because I don't know anything about those categories. I mean, I can make a guess that Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall will make it into international feature, but again, I don't know as much about that as others. A lot of the other stuff, though, including a lot of the tech categories, the below the line categories, I will cover those. And let's just start off with Best Picture. And I think I will, right now I still have Past Lives at number 1, which I know sounds weird, but it's like, unless this is a truly kind of unprecedented year where it's like, you know, maybe a big epic like Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon, maybe they do win Best Picture. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like what they would do nowadays, but I don't really, maybe that happens. I don't know. Maybe they do feel that way now, but right now I'll still keep Past Lives at number 1. Followed by Oppenheimer at number 2. I mean, people are saying this is Christopher Nolan's best film yet, and keep in mind, Dunkirk and Inception were already, like, top 5 films of, like, at least according to the Oscars and stuff. So, yeah, I'm thinking Oppenheimer's gotta be at least number 2. And maybe it does win. I know, it would be a very big, like, here, from what I've heard about it, it is not a hopeful movie at all, but then again, I mean, like, I'll get more into Oppenheimer here in a bit, but maybe that happens. At number 3, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. Well, it's sort of the same thing I have to say about Oppenheimer. It's like, it is a big, grand epic. Those don't usually win Best Picture anymore, but maybe they do maybe they do feel a little bit more traditional this year. I don't know. Number 4, The Zone of Interest. I think this is going to be like a big favorite, especially over at BAFTA. I think they're going to go ham fist over The Zone of Interest, and it is a very big contender. Number 5 is The Holdovers. I think The Holdovers, like, especially now having seen the trailer, we have now seen the trailer for The Holdovers, and it looks really, really good. It looks like Alexander Payne is going back to basics after whatever the hell downsizing was. This has easy Oscar bait all over it. Now I have it in the top 5. I think this is definitely gonna do that. Then at number 6, I still have I have Air. I know a lot of people are saying, Air is not going to get nominated for Best Picture. I'm like, this absolutely would be a movie to get nominated for Best Picture. May not be film Twitter's favorite to get nominated for Best Picture, but this is definitely one of those more traditional films, and it's a very likable movie, and it's written very well. Performances are really good, and I feel like this would be a pretty decent contender for Best Picture. Number 7, I have Dune Part 2. The reason why I have this so low on the list is because I think this is going to perform, well, if Dune Part 2 releases this year, if Dune Part 2 gets removed, so much of the narrative changes. I mean, especially over in visual effects, which we'll talk about. But the reason why I have Dune Part 2 all the way down at number 7 is because I don't think this is going to be anywhere near as big of a player. Because I think other than visual effects, all the other categories that the first Dune won, I think are going to be won by Barbie and Oppenheimer. At number 8, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This movie continues to chug along at the box office, and people will not shut up about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is the one thing I was kind of wondering, like, are people going to really nominate, like if they want to nominate Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for Best Picture, they need to not shut up about this movie. They need to not shut up about it. And so far, that's a very big case, and especially if they start if movies start getting pushed back, then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse's chances for Best Picture nominations will have increased exponentially. Number 9, I have The Color Purple. I'm not gonna lie, I've dropped this down way hard because now I'm starting to wonder if this, like, I still think this movie gets in, but the more I think about it, the more I start realizing how much could this movie actually win? I don't know exactly. And now I'm not very confident in its director chances. So I'm not gonna like. Yeah. And at number 10, I have Barbie. Like, I was very, very hesitant to put Barbie on here because, like, am I really gonna put in Spider-Man and Barbie? But I mean, and because like with Barbie, the reason why I was so hesitant with Barbie, well, one of the reasons was because like there's a significant chunk of people that don't like this movie. And it's not like an Everything Everywhere All at Once situation where it's like, people, people were like, oh, but people said the same thing about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was like, not the same argument, because Everything Everywhere All at Once, even I was looking at the people who gave Barbie bad reviews, they still very much liked Everything Everywhere All at Once. Even if it wasn't their number 10, no, not number 10, even if it wasn't their number 1 movie of the year, they still loved it. And so... But that's not the case with Barbie. But at the same time, Barbie, from the people who like Barbie, don't just like it. They don't think it's just, oh yeah, it's decent. They are through the roof with this film. They think it's the best movie of the year. And it's already demolishing the box office right now. So maybe I have been underestimating Barbie's chances. No, and that means I had to take Anatomy of a Fall out. And which is at number 11 now. That could it's still very possible to happen, but God, I just don't know what's going on. I just don't know what, like, it's just tough. And then 12 through 15, it's literally like a bunch of filler films. Like at number 12, I have May December. Number 3, number 13, Saltburn. Number 14, Maestro, and number 15, Poor Things. Saltburn and May December, I think the hype has kind of died down from May December as of right now. Saltburn and Maestro, I don't know what to do with those movies. I legitimately don't know what to do with them, because I am very skeptical of a sophomore filmmaker's movie. Because sometimes you might get something really big, like how like a filmmaker like really hits it big, but then their second film is just like nowhere near as good, like Jordan Peele, like he did Get Out. It's a masterpiece. Then Us came out, was nowhere near as good, and didn't get anywhere close to the Oscars for Best Picture. Then a more extreme example of this, you have Florian Zeller. He won an Oscar for adapted screenplay for The Father, and it overperformed in terms of nominations. But then his next film, The Son, was absolutely despised. So I'm waiting to see what the reactions for Saltburn and Maestro are. Granted, I don't think Emerald Fennell's first movie was Promising Young Woman. I don't believe that it was, but still, it's like I'm waiting to see if the reviews for Saltburn and Maestro are once again through the roof. Then I'll change my perspective. But right now, I don't know what to do with them. And Poor Things, no, it's not going to happen. I think it's going to be really good, but I don't think it's just going to be way too weird, and not in like an endearing way, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's just going to be very, very bizarre. And then we have Best Director, in which, after hearing everything about Oppenheimer, I'm right now convinced Christopher Nolan wins. I think he wins. I think he actually pulls it off. Like, everything is going in Christopher Nolan's favor right now. Like, people are saying that Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan's best movie. They're saying this is his best movie over Inception and Dunkirk, which got nominated for Best Picture. People are saying this is his most emotionally his most emotionally resonant film that he's ever done, which is kind of big for Christopher Nolan. It still has the people are saying that this still has the grand scale of a Christopher Nolan film, and yet without any kind of punches being thrown, they're saying this is like so intense. And not only that, people are saying this is also very relevant now, like for today's day and age, not just in terms of nukes and nuclear war, which we're currently on the brink with when it comes to North Korea and Russia, but people are, but at least from some people I've heard, there's definitely themes of AI in this film, and That especially will rub Oscar voters the right way, because AI is, with these strikes going on, AI is a major concern, and that it's going to take people's jobs away. And all of the and also Christopher Nolan is probably considered overdue for an Oscar. He's been nominated 5 times as is. Like he got nominated for original screenplay for Memento, original screenplay and best picture for Inception, and Best Picture and Best Director for Dunkirk. And with Oppenheimer, he's easily going to get 3 more nominations, meaning he's going to get nominated for 8. Like, by the time we get to the Oscar nominations next year, he will have 8 nominations, and he will be considered overdue for an Oscar. This is a guy who has championed cinema. He has, even though Oppenheimer's not an original film, but bear with me here, with stuff like Inception and Interstellar, Dunkirk, and whether or not you like it or not, Tenet, those films are all big original blockbusters that Christopher Nolan has made. And even with Tenet, coming on the pandemic and it ultimately not making money, it still made as much money as it did because Christopher Nolan's name was attached. People flocked to go see his movies. And because of all, and this is something that I think Hollywood really loves about Christopher Nolan, is that he makes original blockbusters that are that are very successful and critically acclaimed. And again, Oppenheimer's not really a blockbuster; it's more a biopic, and it's also not original because it's based off of a book. Regardless of that, this, I think, would be the Academy's chance to really go in on Christopher Nolan, saying, "You know what, man? You've got it now. You're going to get your Oscar. Congratulations." I think this will be the year of Christopher Nolan, and honestly, he might win one more, but we'll get to that here in a bit. If not Christopher Nolan, I'm thinking maybe Jonathan Glazer. The Zone of Interest is a very, people are saying, is a very direction-based film. And so I feel like that maybe could happen. Celine's song for Past Lives, I feel like, is definitely, I was thinking she was going to win, but now with like Oppenheimer and stuff coming out, I think, she gets bumped down a few notches, but I think she still gets nominated. Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think if there was ever a safe bet for a nomination, Scorsese would be the easiest to bet on for a nomination, but I don't think they will give him another Oscar. I don't think that's going to happen. And then you have, and at number 5, I have Alexander Payne for The Holdovers. After seeing that trailer, I'm convinced he's going to get nominated, because they don't always nominate, big, director, showcases or whatnot. Like, sometimes you will get a Lady Bird, and sometimes you will get something that's more direction, something that's more dialogue driven, or like sometimes you will get like a Lady Bird or the Banshees of Inisherin. And I feel like Alexander Payne could be this year's Greta Gerwig or Martin McDonagh. Number 6, I guess maybe Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, although I still don't think that's happening. I think, especially if Dune Part 2 is going to underperform as much as I'm predicting it will, there's no way he gets nominated for Best Director. And there may be a chance that if they go ahead with Dune Messiah, he will finally get his Oscar nomination for Best Director for that. I think that will happen. Then at number 7, I have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. Very possible. At number 8, I have Ben Affleck for Air. I think he might even get a Directors Guild nomination for this, but I don't necessarily feel like he's going to get an Oscar nomination. Number 9, Greta Gerwig, Barbie. I don't think that'll happen. This would show that Barbie is way stronger than we think if she gets nominated. But right now, I'm not ready to say that she does. And then at number 10, I've dropped Blitz Bazawule from The Color Purple down so much. I think I had him in the top 5 initially, but now I'm just thinking, no, he doesn't get in. He's not going to get in for this. Then we have Best Original Screenplay. I think this is easily going to be Past Lives to win. I think Past Lives easily wins original screenplay. I don't really like. Air could maybe threaten, and maybe also the Holdovers, but I don't know if they have a stronger case to make than Past Lives, especially Past Lives. If I'm predicting Past Lives for Best Picture, I kind of have to just go with, kind of have to have her win original screenplay. Even though, if I'm not mistaken, I think these are the only two Oscars I'm predicting Past Lives to win, which would be very strange. But I don't really have a lot of good alternatives for Best Picture right now. But if Past Lives is winning Best Picture in my predictions, then it's going to win original screenplay. At number 2, I have Air. Number 3, The Holdovers. Number 4, Anatomy of a Fall. Again, I think that's all easy. And then number 5, I have Drive Away Dolls, which is Ethan Cohen's new movie. I think that happens. I mean, hell, we didn't even know that the Ballad of Buster Scruggs was going to get in. So I think that happens. Number 6, I have May December. Number 7, Saltburn. Number 8, Joyride. I don't think that gets nominated for the Oscar, but Writers Guild, absolutely. I think that absolutely gets nominated for the Writers Guild. Asteroid City, once again, I think that only gets Writers Guild, but, it's Wes Anderson. And, oh wait, I forgot, number 10, I had Problemista. It currently doesn't, they pulled it from its release date of August, but I don't know where they're gonna put it. Oh, God, because... I don't know what I don't know what they're going to do with Problemista. Because if it does release this year, I think it could make an okay case for original screenplay. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that movie. Then we have adapted screenplay, in which I predict also once again Oppenheimer wins. I think they may even give Christopher Nolan director and adapted screenplay, which at that point you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you giving it Best Picture? I don't know. I don't know if Oppenheimer will do well on a preferential ballot. But at the same time, Oppenheimer, for everything I just said about director and how it's relevant and how Christopher Nolan is overdue for an Oscar, I think they could maybe give Oppenheimer adapted screenplay as well. Now, Barbie, I have at number 2. Now, I have to be convinced that Barbie is a stronger Best Picture contender than just a 10. Than just being at 10. But then again, Women Talking was exactly the same way, so, and I didn't even predict Women Talking for anything. So what am I thinking? But if Barbie does turn out to be still as strong as ever, maybe Barbie actually wins adapted screenplay and then Christopher Nolan wins director. So yeah, maybe that happens. At number 3, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't expect this to win. It has some arguments to be made, but Martin Scorsese's movies don't typically do well at the Oscars nowadays in terms of wins. So there's that. At number 4, I have The Zone of Interest. Again, big Best Picture contender, and I think it'll get in for adapted screenplay. And then at number 5, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And some people are saying I'm crazy for this, but I don't care. You need screenplay for an animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. You do. Now, people are going to say, well, Beauty and the Beast wasn't nominated. It's that was a different era. Beauty and the Beast, it was nowhere near as competitive as it is nowadays in terms of the landscape of film. And we've seen animated films get nominated for screenplay without Best Picture nominations. WALL-E, Inside Out, it's just tougher nowadays. And so if Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is getting nominated for Best Picture, it needs to be nominated for adapted screenplay. I mean, hell, look at Up and Toy Story 3. They were both, Up was nominated for original screenplay and Toy Story 3 was nominated for adapted screenplay. So there's that. And I'll get to more of some of the categories where I think Spider-Verse needs to get later on. But if Spider-Man's getting in Best Picture, it needs adapted screenplay. So, sue me. Number 6, I have Dune Part 2. Maybe this could happen, but again, I'm expecting this movie to just again underperform. So and adapted screenplay is honestly very, very tough. It is a very tough category this year. So I don't know if that happens. Number 7, The Collaboration, which is Anthony McCartan's new film. I think I did have this in the top 5 initially, but I took it out because I looked at the reviews for the play, The Collaboration, and they're very mixed. They're not that strong. And since this movie is based on that play, I've kind of dropped it out as of right now. Now, if this movie does really well with if this movie does really well with if it translates better to film than it does the stage play, then I'll probably put it back in. But although admittedly it is a very tough category, it is very, very tough. At number 8, I have Poor Things. That could happen. It's different. I don't think it gets in Best Picture, but Poor Things would definitely be like a screenplay kind of film to win, because the screenplay, the writer's branch, does some weird things. At number 9, I have Next Goal Wins. I don't have this in Best Picture, and I don't think it gets nominated for adapted screenplay, but not for the reasons that people think. I don't believe Taika Waititi's just lost it. I don't think he's suddenly he's just a bad filmmaker now. No, he made Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe you didn't like it, but everything else he's made was critically acclaimed. And not even just his movies, but even the TV shows like What We Do in the Shadows and that one pirate show, I forget what it was called. But Our Flag Means Death, that's what it was. So it's why are we just doubting Taika Waititi just because of one movie? But the reason why I'm not predicting Next Goal Wins is because it just looks like a funny sports comedy. It might be really good. It might even be one of the funniest comedies of the year. But I don't know if I don't know what the movie is going to be saying that the Oscars will feel compelled to nominate it. So I think that's more the reason. And at number 10, I have Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. This has been even though it's a box office disaster, it is one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year, and maybe Writers Guild could save this, but I'm kind of scared over its prospects and that it may not actually get in. Lead actor, look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm keeping Cillian Murphy at number 1. Everyone is raving about Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer. But the thing is, it would be a very unconventional, best lead actor win, because he's not all caked in makeup, although at the same time, Anthony Hopkins wasn't in The Father, and there was some, granted, there was, also, yeah, there's also Will Smith. Will Smith wasn't covered in a ton of makeup. There was also, even though, yeah, Joaquin Phoenix was technically playing the Joker, which had makeup, but he wasn't covered in, prosthetics and stuff. So, and even then, I guess there's also, Rami Malek and Bohemian Rhapsody. So, maybe I think Cillian Murphy maybe does actually pull it off. And everyone is saying that and there is a significant chunk of people saying that he should win. So, maybe he does. And he does have a good narrative behind him. He's just been this character actor for many years that, people go, oh yeah, I think I've seen that guy before. And now in Christopher Nolan, and now he's for the first time, a lead in Christopher Nolan's new film, and as a big important figure. And now that the film is being seriously considered to maybe win Best Picture, Cillian Murphy could go along with the hype. At number 2, I have Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon. Again, in terms of safe bets, in terms of nominations, Leo is the safest bet you can make. But I don't think they're going to give him that Oscar. They seem to go all right, you got yours, you're done. All right, just move, get out of the way for others. That seems to be the way they go nowadays. I mean, unless there's a big gap between your wins, like Anthony Hopkins or whatever, or unless somehow you manage to double, somehow, man, I don't know what it is. but I just don't see why they would do that with Leonardo DiCaprio. I just don't know why. I just don't see why they would give Leo another Oscar. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't give him another Oscar. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, from a predictions point of view, I don't know if they would actually do that. Number 3, I have Bradley Cooper for Maestro. The reason why I don't have him in number 1 is like I said, I don't know what's going on with Maestro. Is this movie great? Is it not? I don't know. If the reviews for Maestro really pick up and like they're like really, really good, then I might put him at number 1. But at the same time, Cillian Murphy, there still is a good narrative for Cillian Murphy to win, so I don't know. So we'll see. At number 4, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, especially now after having seen the trailer, he's going to get nominated. Like, that's, yeah. And then number 5 is kind of tough, but right now I'm going to go with TOU for Past Lives. I feel like the ensemble for the film, even though it's like mainly 3 people, I feel like that's going to go a long way for them. And if they campaign TOU in lead actor, I think he's going to get in. And then there's some others like Matt Damon for Arrows at number 6. I think he gets nominated at SAG, but that's like the most. Number 7, John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. Now, granted, some people are very, dubious about this film coming out this year. I say it's not impossible that it could come out, because this is a film that, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a film that like, it is an August Wilson play, but I think the reason why it could still come out this year is because it doesn't seem like a film that would need that much post-production work. Like, because it's an August Wilson play adaptation, I feel like there's not a whole lot of post-production work you need to do on this film. Then again, maybe I'm being dumb. I don't know. But, like, right now, I'm not really expecting anything too out of the ordinary. So I'm thinking, like, The Piano Lesson could still come out this year. And if so, John David Washington is in the conversation. Number 8, I have Coleman Domingo for Rustin. Rustin, like, again, I need to see what this movie is. Like, is this movie actually really, really good? Well, if the reviews for this movie, again, like Maestro, are really, really good, I'll put up Coleman Domingo. So we'll have to see. Number 9, I have Kingsley Ben-Adir for Bob Marley One Love. I know a lot of people were having this in their top 5, but especially after having seen the trailer, I'm like, not gonna happen. Nope, it doesn't look all that great. And then number 10 I have Anthony Hopkins for Freud's Last Session. That's just like a placeholder. I don't know what could possibly be number 10, but Anthony Hopkins, who knows. Now I have lead actress. And I know this is going to be like the big, like, wait, what are you doing? I have Greta Lee for Past Lives in lead actress. If I'm predicting Past Lives for Best Picture, I have to predict some kind of some sort of a package. I have to predict some sort of a package, and I don't really have a good argument for a lot of other people. Like, number 1, I have Greta Lee for Past Lives. A lot of people are saying Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know if that happens. It could very well be like a Tar kind of nomination. And I know BAFTA will definitely go for her, but I just don't know. I don't know if that's a performance that would win. And then you have number 3, Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple. Once again, I need to see more proof that this film is going to live up to expectations, because I just don't know if it will. And it would be kind of strange if, like, Fantasia Barrino was, like, the movie's only win. Like, because, like, supporting actress I could maybe see, but, like, lead actress? I don't know. Number 4, I have Jessica Lange for Long Day's Journey into Night. Everyone's saying how, like, her performance in the play was unbelievable, and then now you put that into a film, she's just going to be even better. All right, I'll probably go with that. And Natalie Portman, I have at number 5 for May December. I think this might be the only category that this movie gets nominated for. But again, it's still early in the year. Then again, we're past we're past the midway point, so maybe it's not too hard to maybe wrap your head around. So I don't know. And then at number 6, I have Margot Robbie for Barbie. I don't know if that'll happen. I think there's a good chance she may win the Golden Globe for Comedy Musical Actress, so maybe. And I could easily see like SAG or Critics' Choice going for her, but I don't know if I'm quite convinced she gets nominated for the Oscar right now. Number 7, I have Carey Mulligan for Maestro. Like I said with Bradley Cooper, I need to wait to see what this movie's like. I'm waiting for this film. Number 8, Emma Stone for Poor Things. Once again, maybe Golden Globe musical comedy nomination, but I don't think this is happening. I don't think that, again, this would be a very strange nomination. Number 9, I have Annette Bening for Nyad. I don't particularly have a good explanation for why she would get in there, but I don't know. Number 10, I have Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla. I need to see how this movie performs. Like, if it's, like, very memorable or whatever, and doesn't just kind of just drop off, like, then maybe, Priscilla actually does get some attention, but I don't know. Hold on a second. Now we get to Best Supporting Actor. And honestly, right now I'm thinking Robert Downey Jr. wins. Everyone is raving about Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer. And if you remember last time I did my Oscar predictions, I had Robert Downey Jr. in that top 10, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, no, no one maybe only Cillian Murphy gets nominated for Oppenheimer, but no one else." So I was like, "Don't count out the supporting cast. Like, this could happen." I mean, because here's the thing: a lot of people were saying, "But Nolan doesn't really, direct award-winning performances." I'm like, well, the reason why you don't see that a lot is because a lot of his movies don't allow you to allow them to showcase that. Like, Inception was never going to get any acting nominations. Dunkirk was never going to get any acting nominations. They are big action films that where the performances aren't supposed to stand out. But Oppenheimer is a biography. It is a drama. And so it's definitely dialogue driven. This would absolutely be a film that allows the actors to truly shine. And I think now, with everyone raving about Robert Downey Jr. and also his narrative, where it's like, hey, he's not in Marvel anymore. He's doing, dramas again, and he's reminding us, oh wow, he's an Oscar-nominated actor. Which I don't think, Marvel should have. I don't think Marvel was ever keeping him from being a great actor, because he's still great as Iron Man. I'm not saying I would give him Oscars for it, but it's just weird. But regardless, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, I think he wins. Ryan Gosling for Barbie, I think, is at number 2, but I would have had him at number 1 if it wasn't for Robert Downey Jr. The passion for Robert Downey Jr. is so strong right now. And I think Ryan Gosling is going to be another Maria Bakalova, or, ironically enough, Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, where it's an honor to be nominated. He's nominated for playing a really goofy character in a comedy, and so he gets... That's what pushes him over the edge to be nominated, and because he's just that funny. Then at number 3, I have Samuel L. Jackson for The Piano Lesson. Once again, if this movie does come out this year, I'm very much predicting Samuel L. Jackson, especially now that there's a narrative around him as well, where it's like, hey, I mean, he hasn't been nominated for an Oscar since Pulp Fiction, so maybe we could change that. So I think that could definitely happen. Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, I have at number 4. I'm not gonna lie, he could be vulnerable to miss out. He could be vulnerable because everyone was for sure that he was going to get nominated for Best Lead Actor for The Irishman, and that never came close to happening. He only got a Critics' Choice nomination, and even then, that was because they expanded the category beyond just 5. So I don't know if... right now I am predicting Robert De Niro for a supporting actor nomination, although he could be vulnerable. And then John Majaro for Past Lives, I've dropped all the way down to number 5. I think he could still get in, but who knows? I will say I am very, very tempted to slip in Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers into number 5. Because after seeing the trailer, it's like, this would absolutely be a newcomer performance nominated for an Oscar. That could absolutely happen. Number 7, I have Ben Affleck for Air. once again, SAG is going to go for this. I think SAG will absolutely go for this. Maybe even not Critics' Choice, maybe even the Golden Globes. We'll have to see. Number 8, I have Charles Melton for May December. Once again, I feel like the film has kind of just died off. So, unless maybe it picks back up again, we'll have to see. Number 9, I have Glenn Howerton in Blackberry, because everyone keeps talking about, oh man, no one, everyone's like, no one's talking about Glenn Howerton and Blackberry. And while I don't think he's going to get nominated, I mean, there is a bunch of passion for him. There's a ton of passion for Glenn Howerton, so maybe. And then number 10, I have Jesse Plemons for Killers of the Flower Moon. And if I had like a number 11, probably Brendan Fraser for Killers of the Flower Moon. Because I've heard they're both really good, even though they don't have a ton of screen time. So we'll have to see how that goes. Supporting actress, I still have Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, because I think the narrative is just too perfect for her. I mean, she's giving like a standout performance in a Martin Scorsese movie, along like when she's acting against Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio and Brendan Fraser and Jesse Plemons and all these other people, and yet she's one of the standouts. That's going to help her. And also her story about how she struggled as a Native American actress and finally getting the role of her lifetime. I feel like that, once again, is going to be a great narrative for her to win Best Picture. Best Supporting Actress. Other possibilities, I think, number 2, I have Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. Number 3, Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Especially after seeing that trailer, that could absolutely happen. Number 4, I have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. Everyone's saying that she could finally get an Oscar nomination for this. So I think, especially if Oppenheimer proves to be Nolan's most successful Oscar film, absolutely. And number 5, I have Daniel Deadwyler for The Piano Lesson. Once again, if this movie comes out this year, I think Daniel Deadwyler could definitely happen if her character is very strong in terms of what she's supposed to do. So we'll have to see. And number 6, I dropped out, Taraji P. Henson for The Color Purple because I had to slip in Davine Joy Randolph, and I had to slip in Emily Blunt and Daniel Deadwyler. There's a lot of people I actually slipped in, so yeah. Number 7, Viola Davis for Air. Once again, SAG nomination, or maybe Critics' Choice incoming. I don't think any performances get nominated at the Oscars, though. At number 8, I have Julianne Moore for May December. Maybe that happens, but I don't know I don't think it will, at least at this point. Number 9, I have Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. Once you heard me, I need to see how this movie turns out. If this movie's great, all right, that could definitely help. But right now, I don't know. And number 10, I have Sandra Huller for The Zone of Interest. It would be crazy to double nominate her, especially with how much of a newcomer she seems to kind of be, at least in terms of American audiences. But maybe this happens. Maybe it does happen. Now we get to the below the line categories, the tech categories, which I love. For cinematography, I have Oppenheimer in. I think Oppenheimer wins. I think I even predicted this last time. I think. Because I was like, the cinematography here seems to be way more interesting than what seems to be going on in Dune Part 2. Because with Oppenheimer, the scenes from the scenes that are supposed to be more subjective are in color, and the more objective scenes, which are outside of Oppenheimer's point of view, are in black and white. That's already a great storytelling mechanism that I think could really appeal to the Academy. Once again, if this movie's gonna be like a big juggernaut, it's gotta take in a few techs. Number 2, if there was number 2, it would definitely be Dune Part 2. I mean, the first one won, but like I said, I feel like Dune Part 2 is gonna underperform next year. In terms of nominations. Number 3, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's a very safe bet. I don't think it wins. Number 4, The Zone of Interest. Once again, a safe bet. And then number 5, Poor Things. This would definitely be that weird nomination that comes in. So that could definitely happen. Then at number 6, I have Maestro. It's from Matthew. I think the cinematography was done by Matthew Libatique. And there's some black and white scenes in there. Maybe that happens. Number 7, Napoleon. I saw the trailer. The cinematography looks really good. I don't think it's gonna happen though. Number 8, Asteroid City. Once again, I'm looking at the trailers. The cinematography looks absolutely wonderful, but if the French Dispatch couldn't get in, I don't think this will either. Number 9, The Color Purple. Now that I think about it, none of the cinematography in The Color Purple looks all that amazing. So, And then number 10, I have John Wick Chapter 4 because John Wick again, that could be a weird nomination. But since I have it all the way down to number 10, it's probably not going to happen. Then we have film editing. Once again, I think Oppenheimer takes this. I think, especially with how everyone's saying that, again, without being an action film, it is really riveting and the editing is so intense. I think that's going to make Oppenheimer win. I think Oppenheimer wins film editing because there's a lot going on with the editing. Number 2, I'd say Dune Part 2. Again, the first film won. But at the same time, I feel like the first film only won film editing because no one really knew what to do. Because a lot of the other it was just kind of strange. Number 3, again, film Twitter's going to hate this, but I don't care. I'm predicting Air. I mean, if it's getting Best Picture, it's most certainly getting film editing. Number 4, I have Killers of the Flower Moon. Once again, I think Killers is going to sweep a lot of text and then just not really get any of them. And number 5, I have The Zone of Interest because, yeah. Number 6, Barbie. It could be that comedy film. It could be that the comedic editing nomination. Same thing with The Holdovers. The Holdovers at number 7. Number 8, I have The Color Purple because I'm starting to increasingly see like musicals get nominated for like less and less film editing Oscars. I mean, West Side Story didn't get in. So it's becoming increasingly kind of strange. So I'm not expecting The Color Purple as of right now. Number 9, Anatomy of a Fall, maybe. And then The Killer at number 10. Once again, it's like these two are more. I guess these last two were more placeholder predictions. But I don't know. Maybe The Killer could make an argument. I think The Killer is going to be like one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year and then get nothing because it's a thriller. And thrillers don't typically do well at the Oscars. Then we have production design. And this is where once again, I think the top 5 is very, very safe because we have Barbie at number 1, Dune Part 2 at number 2, Killers of the Flower Moon at number 3, number 4, The Color Purple, and number 5, Oppenheimer. I really think this is just going to go all the way, and it's just like, there you go, boom, bang, boom, boom, boom. Barbie, I think Barbie has a great reason for it to get the award because they literally just created a giant Barbie land. And it looks amazing. Like that, even people who don't like the movie are like, yeah, this movie could definitely win production design. So, yeah. Number 2 is Dune Part 2, because once again, the first film got it. But especially with how Barbie seems to be doing and how it looks really fresh and new, I think Dune doesn't win it. Killers through, Killers, Color Purple, and Oppenheimer, I don't really have much to say there. Number 6, I have Poor Things, because, I mean, if they were to do something kind of weird, they could do Poor Things. At number 7, I have Wonka, especially now that we've seen the trailer, the production design for Wonka looks really, really good. Number 8, I have Asteroid City, but I don't really have it in there because, I mean, again, if French Dispatch couldn't get in, why would Asteroid City? Number 9, The Zone of Interest. It's a very mundane looking kind of production design, somewhat like, Roma, but I mean, maybe the simplicity of it could land it a nomination. And at number 10, I have Haunted Mansion. I actually forgot about this movie, but maybe this happens. I don't know. I mean, it is a haunted mansion, and you would probably expect the mansion to look very, very good, so maybe that happens. Then we get to costume design. And my predictions are, I think Barbie wins. I think Barbie is an easy win for this. Dune Part 2, it's a number 2. That's fine. Number 3, I actually have Wonka. Having seen the trailer, the costumes in Wonka look like a lot of fun. And so I think that's going to happen. The Color Purple I have at number 4, and Killers of the Flower Moon I have at number 5. Classic period costumes. Don't really have much to say there. Some outside shots. Number 6 I have Poor Things. Maybe that happens. Number 7 I actually have Haunted Mansion, because I'm looking at the costumes. I looked at the images of the characters and their costumes. They look really good. Like this would be a really fun nomination for costume design. Although, if I already have Barbie and Wonka, I don't know if they would go for Haunted Mansion. So, yeah. Number 8, I have Chevalier. I think this movie's just kind of dead. I don't know why I still... Number 9, Asteroid City. It's very contemporary, but I don't know, maybe. And then number 10 is The Little Mermaid, because you got to have a Disney princess film in there somewhere. It's it's not always guaranteed, but, it could happen. Then we get to... Oh, hold on. Then we get to makeup and hairstyling. Makeup and hairstyling. Maestro, I think, is just going to take this. I think Maestro's going to win this easy peasy lemon squeezy. Number 2 is a film that I did not even have on my radar, and it's called Golda. And if you don't know who that is, that's Helen Mirren, playing, what's her name? I'm trying to remember what her name is. Let me go back and look. Her name is Golda Meir. And granted, there's some controversy around the makeup, but I don't know. Maybe they don't care about the controversy, and maybe they'll focus on the quality of it, because the makeup is absolutely astounding. It really is astounding in what they're doing. It doesn't look anything like Helen Mirren, so I think that could happen. Number 3, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It broke the record for the most prosthetics ever used in a film. That's gotta mean something. Number 4 is Dune Part 2, just like the first film. And number 5, a film that no one's talking about, and I don't know why, John Wick Chapter 4. Who's this character? If you're watching the video podcast, you're probably wondering, who is this character? That is a character played by Scott Adkins. And that's not at all what Scott Adkins looks like. They turned this character, they took Scott Adkins and gave him a ton of fat makeup, and it looks amazing. Now, it would be kind of it would be strange, but I think the makeup branch is kind of strange. They will go for stuff like they nominated, Coming to America. They nominated, what was it called? They nominated, actually, no, they didn't nominate, but they did shortlist the Santa Claus 3, the Escape Clause. So, they will go for some weird stuff, and I think maybe, I think John Wick Chapter 4, it should get a nomination. It deserves a nomination, although we'll have to see how that goes. Number 6, I have a Different Man. It's where, Sebastian Stan is playing a horribly disfigured person. Maybe that happens. Number 7, Long Day's Journey into Night. It looks like a bunch of old people makeup, so that could happen. Poor Things. I think that's you can make an argument there, but I don't think it gets in. I think it only gets shortlisted. Color Purple and Oppenheimer, once again, maybe shortlist stuff, but I don't think they get nominated. And then we get to visual effects, which... Oh boy, I tell you, if Dune actually does get pushed off, this category, I don't know what to do with it anymore. I will not know what to do with this film. With this category. Because even though Dune is expected to win everything, even though Dune is expected to get, just get left out everywhere else, this is the one category it needs to win. And if Dune Part 2 gets pushed back, I don't know what to... Because it's such a clear number 2, because it's also nominated for it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. And so if that's gone, we may end up seeing no Best Picture nominees in the running for visual effects. Now, you're probably thinking Oppenheimer. I have Oppenheimer all the way down at number 10. I'm honestly kind of considering just taking it out entirely. There were about like 24 people who worked on the visual effects in the film in total. In total, only 24 visual effects artists. And from what I've heard, it's only mainly just compositors. Like nothing like visual effects heavy, like no big CGI stuff. And people will go, well, practical effects count. It's like, well, sure, but at the same time, there's not really much you can do in a groundbreaking sense with practical effects anymore. Because like people were, praising, because like, how do I explain it? It's like people were saying, oh wow, people were like blown away by the Jurassic World Dominion bake-off reel and how it used practical effects. And then like what happened? It didn't get nominated. It's like, sure, they might like the practical effects, but it's not that groundbreaking. Because like there's not much you can do with practical effects anymore. That's all that groundbreaking. So, like, and again, you just look at the trailers. What visual effects are we talking about? Nothing. Like none of the even something like Top Gun Maverick and All Quiet on the Western Front. There were tons of visual effects in those movies. It's just even by looking at the trailers, we just didn't know that those were visual effects. Nothing in Oppenheimer looks like anything that's done with like visual effects or whatever. And so I just don't know. But then again, like, Christopher Nolan films don't seem to release a lot of. They don't typically release breakdown reels. But again, even Tenet had a few hundred visual effects artists working on it, and Oppenheimer only has 24, and they're compositors. So I don't think Oppenheimer's going to get in at all. So that's why I have it at number 10. So I have Dune Part 2 at number 1, but if that gets pushed, what do I do? I guess the next logical step would be The Creator. The Gareth Edwards film, The Creator. Like, Godzilla got shortlisted, and Rogue One got in. And if there was ever a number 2 to win visual effects, and potentially the number 1 if Dune gets pushed off, it would absolutely be The Creator. Especially if it's really, really good. And out of all the other films, it looks the most like what's the word I'm looking for? Like an Oscar bait film. So I think The Creator is next in line. Number 3, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. If Marvel always gets other than 2015 and 2011. Marvel always gets nominated. And out of all the films, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 makes the biggest case. Number 4, I still think The Little Mermaid gets in. I think, once again, people are just complaining about the CGI because they don't like the remakes. But I always say this, the visual effects people do not care about. Like Film Twitter does not dictate what will get nominated for visual effects. Film Twitter thought that Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Green Knight were going to get nominated. And look what happened. They didn't even get close. So, and like no one predicted Christopher Robin to get nominated. And yet I did. I was like, Christopher Robin is going to get nominated for visual effects. No one believed me. And then sure enough, it ended up happening. The Disney reimaginings do pretty well in the visual effects race. Because Alice in Wonderland got nominated. The Jungle Book won. Christopher Robin got nominated. What was it? The Lion King got nominated. Mulan technically got nominated, but that was an asterisk year. All the competition was just gone. So I don't know if I really want to count that. But like they will nominate the Disney reimaginings, and especially since there's way more CGI going on in The Little Mermaid than you may even think. Like practically the entire mermaids themselves are CGI. Like even a lot of their faces are CGI, which is absolutely nuts. So I think the Little Mermaid, I think everyone's sleeping on that. I think that gets in. And then number 5, I guess I kind of have to go with Rebel Moon. I did have Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, but ultimately I've kind of just dropped that out because, like, even though I think the de-aging looks absolutely spectacular, people don't seem to care about that anymore. And I guess because I'm starting to think like de-aging isn't really being considered all that impressive anymore. Because like you had Irishman, and that was like the pinnacle of it. Gemini Man somehow didn't get nominated, and then you had Ghostbusters Afterlife with CGI gone, and that didn't get in. So I'm thinking maybe Indiana Jones just doesn't get in. Number 7, I have The Marvels. Again, it's Marvel, safe bet. So yeah. Number 8, I have Ghostbusters 4. I wasn't expecting Afterlife to get shortlisted, and so I think maybe Ghostbusters 4 could do that if it's coming out this year. And then at number 9, I know a lot of people are thinking I'm crazy for thinking this, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't have a lot of good arguments, though. I don't really have a lot of good arguments. Some people are saying, well, what about Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves? I finally saw the movie, and I'm not gonna lie, the visual effects were not as impressive as as I thought they would be. Like, it seemed a lot more standard, and granted, some of the stuff in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania looks kind of shaky. There's a lot of stuff that actually does look very good and very creative, so I don't think it gets nominated, but I think it could get in. And I'm trying to think of any other possibilities. The only other option I can think of really is just we don't know what the other contender could possibly be, because I did not see All Quiet on the Western Front or 13 Lives coming at all. I didn't see those movies coming into the visual effects race, and yet somehow they did. So right now, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. So I guess right now I do kind of have to go with Dune, Creator, Guardians, Little Mermaid, and Rebel Moon. But if Dune's gone, the Creator's gonna win. It's gonna win because it's the most like a Best Picture nominee. It's the one that would most likely be a Best Picture nominee. So I think that's what would happen. And then for Best Sound, this is once again where I think Oppenheimer will shine. There's some criticisms over like the sound mixing, but I think considering it's nowhere near as like divisive as the work in Tenet was, I think that won't matter a whole lot. Plus, this film is a major Best Picture contender, so not only is it a major Best Picture contender, but even then, I feel like the positive things that people are saying about the sound in Oppenheimer are going to outweigh the negative. So yeah, Dune I have at number 2, but I don't think that's happening. I don't think it's going to win. Then at number 3, Color Purple. It's a musical, so why not? Number 4, Killers of the Flower Moon. And at number 5, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I have that down at number 5 because it's another category you need in order to be nominated for Best Picture if you're an animated movie. You need screenplay, you need sound, and I'll get to the other 2 categories here in a bit. But if Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to get nominated for Best Picture, it needs Best Sound. It needs it. So number 6, I have The Creator. That could definitely happen. Number 7, Sisu, which you may not know about, but I think it's about this dude who like hunts Nazis or something like that. And almost the entire film's audio was replaced in post because the filming conditions, it was all too loud. The background was too loud, so they had to redub everything from like sound effects to and other Foley stuff, dialogue. That could very well be very impressive to the sound branch. Number 8, The Zone of Interest. Number 9, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And number 10 is Indiana Jones The Dial of Destiny. These are more placeholders. I think they're also just safe bets to make overall. Then we have Original Score, in which I have Oppenheimer at number 1. Everyone is just buzzing about the score for Oppenheimer, and I have listened to the score, some of it. It's really, really good and really, really haunting. So, I think Oppenheimer is going to win this. Dune Part 2, once again, I think is at number 2. I think just Oppenheimer just body slams Dune Part 2 everywhere except visual effects. Number 3, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Look, people, it's John Williams. You're good, get upset all you want. John Williams always finds a way to sneak in. Number 4 is Elemental. The score for Elemental is actually really, really good. And then number 5, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because this is another category that it could potentially need in order to get nominated for Best Picture. And and I guess I might as well just say the other category now. If an animated movie is going to get nominated for Best Picture, especially nowadays, it needs to be nominated for screenplay, sound, and either score or song. Because Up was nominated for Best Picture, aside from Best Picture and Best Animated Feature, Up was also nominated for original screenplay, sound editing, and it won score. And so, yeah, and then with Toy Story 3, it was nominated for adapted screenplay, best sound editing, and it won Best Original Song. And if Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to get nominated for Best Picture, it needs adapted screenplay, sound, and either score or song. And if it gets both, then it's very strong. So yeah, number 6 is Past Lives. It could be like that kind of indie film that gets nominated, sure. Number 7 is The Killer, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That could happen. Although they are also scoring Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and I want to listen to the score for that. But admittedly, it would be very unprecedented for 3 animated films getting in for original score nowadays. Number 8 is Wonka. I put Wonka at number 8 because it's like the songs are original. So if you're doing that, I feel like score will probably go along with it, like a Mary Poppins Returns, like a La La Land. I think that could definitely happen with Wonka. Number 9 is The Creator because Hans Zimmer has just been announced to do the music for this film, and maybe that could definitely happen. And then number 10, I have Killers of the Flower Moon because some people are going to be nominated, are going to be putting this in their top 5. I'm not convinced yet because it's kind of like Martin Scorsese movies don't typically get nominated for original score. Like, I think it's only happened like 4 or 5 times, and they are like decades apart from one another. The last film to get in for original score was Hugo, and the last time before that, it was like the late 90s. So I'm not really thinking Killers of the Flower Moon is going to get in. Right now, at least. And then, sorry. So yeah, with this, I have this next category, which, what is it? Which Diane Warren song gets nominated for Best Original Song? Because somehow Diane Warren always sneaks in, so I don't know what to do about that. So let's go over, what Diane Warren songs could somehow get it. Because even if we're not predicting her, like even when people don't predict her, she somehow always sneaks her way in. So yeah, number 1, I have an untitled song from an untitled Diane Warren documentary. If it's released this year and it's released in theaters, that would be the most likely case. Number 2 is going to be You from 80 for Brady. Number 3, Found from The Magician's Elephant. And number 4 is Ozzy, Voice of the Forest from Ozzy, Voice of the Forest. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's like an animated film being produced by Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like supposed to be about this influencer orangutan. And it's supposed to be about environmental messages and stuff. So, I don't even know if this movie's coming out this year. Some sources are saying 2024. Some people are saying this. Some sources are saying this year. I don't know. But Diane Warren never bet against her. So, yeah. She's gonna get, she has so many songs coming out this year. It would be really funny if 80 for Brady got nominated for an Oscar because of a Diane Warren song. That would be so funny. Then, we get to the actual Best Original Song category. I guess maybe right now I'll put in the Diane Warren documentary song, because I guess this would be her chance to win an Oscar. I don't know. Number 2 is I'm Just Ken from Barbie. That could definitely happen. The song is great. Number 3 is This Wish from Wish. The movie looks generic, and it doesn't look good at all. But I feel like it'll still get in for Best Original Song. Number 4, Quiet Eyes from Past Lives. That could definitely be up the alley of the Academy. And at number 5, I have Calling from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but at the same time, I don't know what song would actually get in. I'm kind of going for the more popular ones, but for the most popular one, but then again, I don't know if this is the most popular one, so I don't know. Calling, listening to it, it's like maybe they could go for this, I don't know. And then at number 6, I have Peaches from the Mario movie. I would like to see that happen. I didn't like the movie, but I think, I thought it was a very funny song. That could happen. Number 7, some song from Wonka. I don't know what song. I don't even know what any of the titles of the songs are. But considering Wonka has original songs because it's a musical, that could definitely happen. And then number 8, I have Spinning Globe from The Boy and the Heron, which was formerly known as How Do You Live, which is a significantly worse title than How Do You Live. I hate that name, The Boy and the Heron. Why did you call it that? I hate that. And then, finally, oopsies, we finally get to the last category I'm going to be talking about today, which is Best Animated Feature. Number 1, it's obviously gonna be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's not even close. It's kind of funny how much this race is over. I mean, if I'm predicting it to win, not win, if I'm predicting it to get nominated for Best Picture, it's absolutely gonna get nominated. I mean, it's absolutely gonna win Animated Feature. It'll be really kind of screwed up if it actually did get beaten in Animated Feature. Number 2 is The Boy and the Heron. Once again, I really hate that name. Why couldn't you just stick with the title How Do You Live? That's way more interesting of a name instead of The Boy and the Heron. That sounds like a freaking kindergarten name, but whatever. It's, again, easy lock for a nomination. It's Hayao Miyazaki. So, yeah. Number 3, I have Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Aardman does way better at the Oscars than we think. The Pirates Band of Misfits, that got nominated for animated feature, and then both Shaun the Sheep movies got nominated. So it's like, why do I doubt the sequel to Chicken Run? Unless somehow this is like absolutely trashed. Like if this is trashed, then all right, yeah, I'll back off from this. But like, still, number 4 is Nimona. This movie is fantastic. It is really, really, really good. It's really and not only is it like a fantastic film, but like it also supports the narrative that this film has, where it's like it was this Blue Sky Animation Studios film that was canceled by Disney when they bought Fox, but then Netflix saved it and it was able to be finished, and now it's here. That narrative, along with how good this movie is, it's going to get nominated for animated feature. Like, it's a lock at this point. Like, it is so safe. And now we're hearing stuff from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And once again, it's going to get nominated for animated feature. I mean, like, this is such an unconventional list for animated feature, especially considering I don't think Disney gets close. So, I think honestly Disney just gets shut out this year, because Elemental, the reviews are good and it's doing better at the box office, but at the same time, they're not good enough, because the Oscars have a very high standard for Disney these days, because if you're not like in the 90s, you're in trouble, because previously expected films that would get nominated ultimately didn't get nominated. Like Monsters University, that didn't get in. And that was in a weak year for animated movies. Like 2013 was a terrible year for animated movies, and yet it couldn't get in. Cars 3, that didn't get in. The Good Dinosaur, that didn't get in. Frozen 2, that didn't get in. So basically you can't just be like a pretty decent Disney movie. You have to get like so many good, your reviews have to be through the roof. And unless Wish somehow surprises us and is not as generic and bad looking as it looks, I think Disney just gets snubbed this year. I think Disney just goes home empty-handed in the animated feature. Hell, they're not even going home empty-handed. They're just not even leaving home. So yeah, number 6, I have Robot Dreams, because I think Neon. I think it was Neon that took this film. Everyone's saying it's like, I've heard some really good things about it. Number 7, The Peasants. It's, you know, being directed by the same guy who directed Loving Vincent, so maybe that happens. Number 8, number 9, you know, Elemental Wish, And then number 10 is Suzume. I feel like everyone's going to want this to be nominated for animated feature, but considering it has just not done, like, or okay, how do I explain? It's like, it is a big box office and critical success, but even Belle couldn't get nominated for animated feature, even though it totally deserved it. Even it couldn't get in. So it's like, and I think this is from the same studio, so yeah, I think Suzume will sadly just not get in. And guys, that will do it for today's Oscar predictions. Now, if release dates get bumped and stuff, and like especially depending on how many release dates get bumped, I will for sure make an updated video here, but you know, or an updated podcast episode. But yeah, this is just like I really, like, I don't know why the studios aren't just giving the actors and the writers what they want. Like, they're being like, the CEOs make so much money. It's so like, and it's like, really, you can't just cut a little bit off. Like, who needs, like, who honest to God needs $25 million a year as a CEO? Like, sure, I don't mind you making a lot of money, but like, really? When you start making like over $20 million or like $40 million, like some of these people, like David Zaslav, have like what, over $400-600 million worth net worths. It's like, you can't just slice a little bit of that off. Like, come on, dude, that's just being greedy at that point. It's just really being greedy. Because no one needs that. No, you don't need that much money in your life. You don't. What are you gonna use that for? Like, seriously. And they're cool, and they are literally losing money right now by not making deals with the writers and actors. Like, they are literally losing money, and they're gonna lose more money if they decide to push these release dates off, because we literally just got out of a pandemic era and the box office is normal. Use your head. Make a deal, you stupid studio heads. Just make your deals, for the God's sakes. But yeah, regardless, remember to hit that subscribe button, whether it's the YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast. I do these every Saturday, and I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.